Um, moving on. Everything comes out today about, you know what? Let's talk about our thing. So the Bears are the number one pick. Last week, I made some veiled criticisms at someone on this podcast for saying that the Bears should look at trading Justin Fields and taking Bryce Young with the number one overall pick. Now, I took exception to that, but in my fairness, my I don't even know what I would call it. But in my graciousness, I have let Zach Lyons onto the podcast to give his reasoning, and then I can respond in time. So you know what? In the feeling of fair play, you go first, Zachary.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me have the first serve here. Um, so let me open with a question here. In its current form, do you believe the way that this Bears offense moves the ball? Do you just feel like the way that the Bears play offense in general right now is sustainable?
It's an unfair question. You know it is because obviously the answer is no, but that's not what we're talking about going forward. We know that there's a billion other things that can be plugged in there. There's a reason why the offense is played like that, and it has to do not with Justin Fields' faults, but with the faults of the entire team as a whole.
I I guess I hear you, but he's having games where he's going like 7 for 21. The offensive coordinator is taking the ball out of his hands as much as possible the first
Which
five
was a
games of the
mistake at the
season.
end of the season. It was a major mistake. If you watched that game against the Packers, if they would have put the ball into his hands, they would have won that game.
Yes,
If
he's
anyone
he's
watched
pretty.
that game, if Justin Fields was doing well passing the ball, they took the ball out of his hands in the fourth quarter after he played well. So no, that's not fair.
Hey man, I'm not saying it as a criticism of Fields, okay? I'm just
Okay, whatever.
it, it- you were you get this twisted because you think I'm saying that he's just a bad player in general. I'm not. He's an outstanding playmaker. But the problem is this run around, 110 rushing yards a game, seven completed passes. Like it's just not. He needs to learn to throw from the pocket. He was a less efficient passer than Zach Wilson this year. If you just look purely at passing stats,
I would check the passer rating and quarterback rating on that one, Chief.
passer rating is worthless.
Then
Or
QBR.
QBR factors in rushing. I'm
Still,
talking about passing only. You can hold, or I don't know. It's not worth looking up, but you can split QBR into like passing, rushing, sacks, and it all breaks down into like one metric. And a lot of Fields' quarterback rating comes from his rushing ability, because he is like Lamar Jackson is the 100th percentile when it comes to quarterback rushing. Fields is 99th. Like,
okay, then that's a weak argument. Man, I was hoping for something better.
but what I'm not saying is you have to just no, like, no brainer take Bryce Young. I'm just saying that if you're Ryan Poles, you need to be doing your due diligence on these quarterbacks. Even if
Where are you
even
getting
if
this
you're
seven complete? So let's take a look here. So the first three games in the last game of the season, yes, 7 completions. But then 11, 15, 14, 13, 17, 17, 12, 14, 20, 14, 15. So no,
so you're saying he had games with seven completions, correct?
at the
That's what I'm
very
saying.
beginning of the season.
It is still
At
a
the end of the
game that
season, not as
occurred.
much.
It is still I maybe he finished on a positive, but still, like, going, he was a 50% ish passer this year. and he wasn't completing a ton of
65%.
downfield
Let's see here.
throws.
Taking away those game, well, that's so. Let me just go into my argument here. If you watch the Bears this year, you saw basically a cobbled together offensive line and one of the worst wide receiving cores in the NFL. All right, it was a atrocious product that they put around Justin Fields. The man was running for his life all the dang time, and you say he can't pass the ball. Watch him throw. I mean, the fact of the matter is, do you know something in college? He was not a run first guy in college. He wasn't. He was a pass first guy with running ability. And the only reason he has had to run so much is because he has to run for his damn life. It's the only way the Bears could get offense going. Had nothing to do with his abilities his abilities as a passer need to improve. There's still improvement that can be done, sure, but he's shown enough in the passing game. Maybe not in terms of volume, but in the samples we've seen, he's done enough in the passing game to make me believe that he can improve. It's crazy to me that you can say you look at Jalen Hurts. You want to know something crazy? Not only is Justin Fields a better runner than Jalen Hurts, he has better ability at passing as well. Better arm talent, he has better accuracy. Absolutely, absolutely, no question.
Not at the NFL, not proven at the NFL level.
I don't know about that one, Chief. You just have not seen him in the correct offense. That's all I gotta say about Justin Fields. He has not been put into the correct offense. It's the truth. He has more arm talent than Lamar Jackson, but he is as good of a runner at the moment as Lamar Jackson is. He can revolutionize the way the quarterback position is played. I guarantee you next year they're going to bring in receivers and they're going to show off that arm a lot more. Promise you that. Especially, you look at these year 3 leaps where you add a big wide receiver 1. We've seen that with Jalen Hurts. We've seen that with Josh Allen. You add a true wide receiver run, a true wide receiver 1, and watch him fly. You are counting out Fields, or at least you're doubting Fields, based upon what I see as stats without context. It's looking at it's not watching the game, finding the stat sheet afterwards, and then scrolling through it and trying to see the raw stats and not seeing, wait a second.
I watched plenty of
How
Bears
bad
games this week,
was
dog.
that offensive line?
This year, dog.
How bad was the offensive line? How many times did those wide receivers drop easy passes, which happened a lot?
Are you allowing me to respond?
Please respond.
Yes, you are correct. The amount of times that the Bears offensive line held and a receiver got open on the same play for the Bears this year, pretty small amount of plays where both of those things occurred on the same play. So the Bears have put on an absolute clinic on how to not support a rookie quarterback, or a young quarterback. He's not a rookie anymore. But let's not pretend like that doesn't have a negative effect on Fields himself. And I'm like, it sucks. It's not his fault, but it's had a negative impact on his development regardless, and you can't deny that.
You're right. However, I think that you are making a lot of assumptions on his development, on exactly if there's irreversible damage, quote unquote, made. And also, I'd like to say this. Partway through this season, the Bears, with basically nothing around them, nothing, they were putting on offensive shows, scoring 30 points a game. All on the shoulders of Justin Fields. The man was a one-man show. You saw that when you hit that game stretch when they beat the Patriots and they lost badly to the Cowboys, but Fields went off. When they had a close one against the Dolphins, you saw a bunch of different times where this offense should not have been scoring, 30 plus points in a game where they were. And it was all because of Justin Fields. And a lot of that was not just the rushing. A lot of that was, especially in red zone situations, Justin Fields making specific clutch plays in the passing game. And if you could see that, which he did make those plays, sir, if you saw that watching the game, you'd say, okay, the stats might not show what his passing did here, but his passing did something here.
I I hear you. Yeah, he was a one-man offensive weapon for
So
a
why throw that away?
couple of games this season.
Couple, sure, whatever.
So was Cam Newton.
That's
And
such
he was
a
wa-
ridiculous
and he
statement. I'm
and he
talking
was
about
washed and he was washed by the time he was 28. And it's not, like Fields isn't the only guy that I worry about in that same I worry about Josh Allen like flying around
my
taking all these hits.
goodness.
It Fields gets his ass kicked, my guy. It's the rushing is outstanding.
And he's
It's
not going to
just
have to
not
do that for his entire career. Once these things are built around him, he's not going to have to rush all the damn time. He had to rush. He had to rush. He's not going to rush just constantly all the time. It's not going to be Lamar Jackson level rushing at all times. I can almost guarantee you the Bears are not going to make him do that forever. This idea that's going to be his thing forever is ignoring everything to do with his college shapes and saying the situation that he is in right now. So you're right, it's not sustainable, but I don't think the Bears are going to keep doing with that stuff. And then finally, I'm just going to say this before we stop talking about this. The idea of trading him away and bringing in Bryce Young, it really
I never
is
said it had to be Bryce Young.
Bryce Young or any of these quarterbacks. It's a flip. It's a coin flip in the draft. You know this, Zach. Even with the top prospects, you don't know. There's a good
No,
chance a lot of these times these guys don't work out. And so
but
the idea that, you're going to throw away a guy like Fields, who has otherworldly abilities, who has shown that he can perform at an NFL level, and you hear players talk about him, players and coaches saying, man, this guy, like wide-eyed after having to defend this guy. You hear these guys talk about this stuff. And then you still run around with these same tropes and you say that he can't play quarterback at the NFL level and at a high level going forward. And I just think that's very short sighted. And it really is, and saying, well, maybe they should look at one of these other quarterbacks. It really is just, you remember that Family Guy clip where they go in and they're promised a free boat? Like, oh, you can take the boat,
no,
but
I know
you can
what you're
take
talking
the
about.
mystery
I
box.
saw your tweet.
Yeah. Well, I didn't tweet it. Someone else tweeted it. But
Yeah, man. You probably retweeted it.
I think I favored it and you saw it. But
Yeah,
that's exactly what this is. This is really just, oh, we could have Justin, the mystery box could be anything. It could even be Justin Fields. Like, get out of here. All right. Well, yes.
final
Yes.
point, and then we can cut it off. A rookie quarterback or a quarterback on a rookie contract that's playing well is the single most valuable thing in the NFL. They have already wasted 2 years of that on Fields. But you also don't necessarily have to stay at one to pick a quarterback, right? Because we learn a lot through the next 2 months about these guys, and draft boards start to shift. I have a pretty good feeling that they trade away the one to some desperate ass team like the Texans. They get back a first and a high second, or even like multiple, some sort of package with multiple firsts. Because the 1-1 is a very, very valuable pick. So I'm saying we could both be right here, and the Bears walk away with some awesome talent to build around with insert quarterback here.
Justin,
They could
Justin Fields.
trade down and still grab a guy that they can control and build around for 5 years rather than 3, since they've already wasted 2 on Fields.
I just think it just doesn't work that way. I just really think the way human beings work, the way that football works, it's very easy to see these things on paper, to see 5 years, to see this kind of stuff. But it's hard to really understand it. And it's also a issue of overthinking, which I think is something that NFL teams do too much. They overthink these situations. They overthink it. Justin Fields is a good quarterback. He's going to be a very good quarterback going forward. He could be an elite quarterback if they play their cards right. And he could change the way that the NFL plays the game, especially if his passing game comes to fruition next year.